Hello, everyone. Glad you can join us, whether you're watching us live or replaying this later for your own convenience. You do you. My name is Andrea Thompson. I'm the founder and director of the Film Girl Film Festival, and I'm joined here by the many directors of my Shorts Block, or the Shorts Block 4. You can still stream it till midnight tonight, so please do. These shorts are remarkable, and I'm going to go around and ask everyone to just kind of to introduce themselves, say their name and which film we directed, and then I'll go into the tough questions. All right, Melly, why don't we start with you?
I am Melly Werner. I am a director and producer of 26%.
And Natea, why don't we go next?
Okay. My name is Natea Taylor, and I am the director of The Good Land.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Ro Moore. I am the director-producer of How We Met.
And last but not least.
Hi, I'm Robin Noonan-Price, and I'm the director of Gloria's Birthday.
Thank you all so much for joining me and your films. So yes, I've noticed this when I was putting this together. It kind of had kind of an unofficial theme, as in it's takes a familiar situation or story and basically subverts what we're familiar with. It's either through what you tried to focus on, plot twist, etc. So, Melly, I'm going to start with you. Your film 26% focuses on disability at the university we're going to, and generally we think of universities as very liberal, innovative places, but unfortunately, your experience has not been that. Because yes, I understand your short focuses on what it's like to be disabled at your particular university. So, what motivated you to make a film on this on a university you're still going to right now, and very much taking it to task for how it treats the community?
Well, it's a really funny story. I mean, we were in this great documentary class, and I wanted to do this cool documentary about like a punk rock band until I was like denied the most easiest accessibility request I literally was ever made in my entire career. I've been at the school at that time for 8 years. And I asked a professor, because I have MS and I have lower back arthritis, I've got a bad neck. I'm like, hey, if we buy a tarp, we'll pay for this tarp to put over this dirty table y'all have. I just can't be on the floor. And he wouldn't work with me over and over again, to the point where I was having to go into school hours ahead of time, take handfuls of Vicodin, and then roll into documentary class, half the time still a little buzzed from pain meds, and my classmates would have to see me crying in pain. And then I just realized this is not right.
Sorry.
Thank you. It was horrible. And I was like begging for just, can I please put a brand new tarp on your dirty table so I can paint a project? And he's like, no, you need to go on the floor. And I'm like, sir, I have a cane. Nope, on the floor. I'm like, all right. And it was the fact that I was still struggling to get into buildings, and we're still, and we'll talk about this later, we're still struggling to get into one building, and since I've been there, so 9 years, I've been battling school to get into this building. It was accessible 1 year, and then it went away, and we've been fighting since. But it's just, people don't know it, and it's just still this secret that we keep quiet. We want to shove on, oh, the school's great, we have a marching band, we have this and that, but we have students who are still fighting to get into a bathroom, and that's just not right. And I had to make that. And the fact that it's not just 18-year-olds, we're talking 47-year-old women, we're talking disabled veterans. We have everybody. And I wanted to give them a voice. And it's made me unpopular. I'm not getting any popularity points, but it's the right thing to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your film and sharing that.
Thank you.
And that goes into what I want to ask Natea. You focus on a particular artist who's doing good in a city, Milwaukee, that tends to get a pretty bad rap in terms of statistics, race, violence. So why did you decide to make a film about this person? I'll kind of let you go into a little bit of what he does and how you met him.
Yeah, so I decided to make a film about a community-based public artist in Milwaukee, Wisconsin named Munir Bahuddin. And I met him when I was getting my master's degree in urban studies and working under a professor. And this professor introduced me to this artist. And I didn't know there were any like artists who were doing like kind of uplifting the community or activism work. So he like hosts community-based public workshops, and he has everyone write a vision of what they want for the community or for the world. And then he creates these things called peace posts, and he places all the visions inside of these posts, and they sit in different neighborhoods in Milwaukee, and he calls them spiritual sentinels because they kind of have like a lot of positive energy inside them with all of the visions that are inside the post. So if you look at the post in any of the neighborhoods, you wouldn't know there's anything inside them. But I had never heard of anything like this before, and I was born and raised in Milwaukee, and I was just like, why has anyone not like uplifted this story or this artist, and why are negative stories about Milwaukee always being uplifted over artists like this? So that's what inspired me to highlight him, because I felt like his story just needed to be shared.
And thank you for that as well, because that's another common theme that I saw in this block is why isn't anyone talking about this? And that's a good segue for you, Robin, because Gloria's birthday. We've seen films about memory loss before, but you just place us so much in her perspective as this woman is kind of experiencing this and telling a story. And as much as she struggles with her life, she finds a lot of fondness in not just her memories, but in her present life. So, what motivated you to kind of tell the story in a kind of non-linear way like this? Decide
Well,
to take that path, as it were.
yeah, I have to, full disclosure, I did not write the script. My good friend Jane Barbara wrote it. But it's a story that, I mean, I'm the older lady in this group, I could tell you right now, and I have seen this firsthand with aging parents and being part. It's kind of sandwiched in between taking care of your aging parents and your loved ones and your own children at the same time, and so it's kind of a weird place to be in life right now, because I've been seeing this over and over and over again within my own family, with my friends. And so when Jane showed me the script, it really resonated with me. And the thing that's so interesting is I've noticed with just family members, memory is just one of those things where Joni is like regaling her friends about this time in her life where she just felt like she was her best badass self, and yet she goes back to her daughter's home and she doesn't realize, she just doesn't remember things that happened in the present, and so it sends her into this loop and this spiral of despair. And the thing that's so interesting is that it's her granddaughter that can help pull her out of it. So it was I just absolutely love the story. And I was so happy that Jane, wanted me to direct it for her. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Because, yeah, a common thing is that older women, like, if you're above 30, 40, and especially this age, their superpower, they tend to gain a superpower in visibility.
Absolutely.
Which they don't, in a way they don't really want. So thank you. And Ro, I found your short very, very refreshing, even though it's actually a very dark story. It's very funny. It's basically two people who probably should not be together deciding to get married, and it's very funny, and they try to tell this story and spin it as a meet cute and true love when it's clearly not. So why did you decide to tell that kind of relationship story, and how did you make such a dark topic so funny and light? It's a very LA story.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're here in LA and a lot of dating and a lot of like getting married. It's like mysterious out here. If you find somebody who's married out here, you really ask a lot of questions of how did that happen? How does your marriage actually work? Who stays home? Who works? Who has the kids? Like, it's a lot of questions. And my writer, Lee Siestro, she has a fear of getting married because she's afraid that she's not going to find the right guy. Yeah, or she's going to choose a guy and think it's the right thing, and then because her parents had issues and she just doesn't want to experience that. And when she brought the script to me, that was like, okay, well, these people met, but the first date was terrible. Every subsequent date, it's like all those tropes in a relationship of, oh, he cheated on me, but we're still together, right? Like, it's that backup to the backup of life. And I wanted to indulge in it because I was actually getting married right before we shot this. So I was going through that, set up the website, how we got met, all that kind of stuff. And I even felt like, well, we're being honest. Me and my husband met in a very boring way. It was through the internet. How do you jazz that up? And there's this whole ideal that when you meet and you get married, it's supposed to be so romantic and so oversensitive to emotion and like, wow, I would have never guessed. So that's why we took it the direction we did, because it's more honest. It's what people actually are going through more often than not.
Yeah, and try to have a healthy marriage off screen, avoid it on screen, the old motto.
Exactly.
Yeah, and speaking of misconceptions, like Melly, your documentary, as you like kind of relate this fight just to get the most basic thing, it also like really shreds a lot of preconceptions about the disabled community. So I want to ask you, like, in addition to like just getting basic access, what is the most common misconception you wanted to shred with this? You wanted to destroy?
Wow, that's a deep question, and that's such a multifaceted question.
Yeah.
That
Let's even keep it simple.
that we're
I'll try to make it simpler.
Yeah, we aren't helpless. We don't need all this petty pity. Like, we just really want basic human rights. To me, like, we're just asking, like, disabled rights are human rights. And I grew up in a time in the 80s where, God, it's embarrassing to admit, they took us in grade school to a school for special needs kids. And in the 90s, as they integrated special needs kids into our high school, I watched people who are now my age literally lose their minds. So seeing that at the age of like 16 really stuck with me. And I'm like, these are human beings. And these are really talented people who have so much to give. And we think differently. We might do something differently. And in doing that, we make the world a better place.
Thank you. And Matea, I want to really ask you something similar, because you said you were born and raised in Milwaukee, and you never heard of this work, and clearly you wanted to change up like the perceptions. But I want to ask, did you end up like changing any misconceptions that you unknowingly had?
I did. Growing up in Milwaukee, I had a very negative perception of the city just based on what I saw on the news. I would see a lot of like poverty and violence, specifically in neighborhoods that I grew up in on the north side, which is majority Black. And the area that the community-based public artist is in is a majority Black neighborhood. And my perception of that neighborhood growing up, I would be like more fearful to go to a neighborhood like that. But now I like see the neighborhood a lot differently now. And I see the positivity in the neighborhood, and that it's not as bad as the media points it out to be. So I actually spend a lot more time in that area now and actually feel a lot safer. So my perception changed about just neighborhoods in Milwaukee in general.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, we could always use that. And Robin, I had more of a plot specific question about your film. I know you said you didn't write it, but why do you think in your story it is the granddaughter and not, the daughter who kind of is able to bring your main character Gloria out of that spiral, as you mentioned?
That's a great question. And but again, I'll go back to just personal experience. I've seen how my own daughters interact with my mom, and it's a whole different relationship. I don't know how you guys feel about your own moms, but a mother-daughter relationship sometimes can be a little bit contentious. And so the granddaughter is the buffer. She's the one that sort of is able to just get the grandmother to go, to get her out of that loop. And I just think it's more based on a relationship in a different type of way. So that's that was the plot twist there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Ro, I'm curious to see your personal opinion in regards to the couple in your story. You mentioned you were getting married around the time you made this. So as I was watching it, I've already mentioned, I thought, maybe this couple should not be together. So I'm interested in your take. Do you think this couple should be getting married in your story, how we met?
I believe that they should. And it's so funny because I asked my actors the same thing in their character thought process. Like, should they get married? And the whole point is yes, because after they divorce, they'll know what's right for them afterwards. So you have to get the one and done and out of the way and onwards to the next one, because then all the hype and all the pressure of what leads up to that will be over. My mom used to say, we wish we could give you a sweet 16 so you could have the huge party and the huge experience, but the next time is going to be your wedding. So good luck. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot to take on. So in my opinion, yeah, they do need to get married, and they just need to get it out of their system.
The first marriage is practice for the second one, I guess.
Exactly.
Wow. You know what? You're probably right. So,
She is right.
Yeah, probably.
Speak from personal experience.
Aw.
What are you gonna do? Well, not on that note at all, actually, Melly, about your short. God, your short makes me worry because it really does, because it gives such, frankly, a pessimistic view of the system and how it almost refuses to value some part of its population. So I guess my optimism is sometimes I think it's ill-advised at times. So I'm curious as to whether you think, have you seen good results from this 9-year fight from making this documentary? I'm just hoping for something.
I wish,
Obviously,
especially because it's Easter, so you can't lie on Easter Sunday. I feel like my mom in heaven would strike me down dead right now if I lied to everybody. So let me second to compose myself because
have I made you cry?
Well, it's unfortunate. The truth is what is very, very sad, you guys. A lot of the programs that we talked about in 26%, they're just not there anymore. The testing center, the student success programs, those are unfortunately were cut from our school this fall. And it's really affecting not only disabled students, but lots of students. We had a midterm just a week ago, and we had to switch the date. And this is astrophysics. This isn't like a walk in the park simple class. This is like a hardcore project. And we had to switch the date of our midterm because the testing center isn't open on Fridays anymore. So not only are you really taking this very marginalized group of people and ripping the rug from underneath them, but you're doing this huge disservice to your entire student body. This semester at the beginning, I went into the door and there was no accessibility, and as well as the door was broken. And this is where I became known as the Hellcat of Halsey, the crazy girl. There's a lot of different words. Some of them are really, really not nice, and I'm not going to use them. But that door, I found out had been broken for over a year. And I was like, oh, hell no. How has this door been broken for over a year? There were student protest signs, saying this door is on furlough. And it was a really neat piece of art with all the posters. But at that point, I was like, this is not okay. We all deserve better. And so I thought I was able to get that door fixed, mainly because I'm like, I'm going to be on press junkets. What do you guys want me to say about this school? I go, do you want me to say that you literally do not give two F's about your disabled veterans, your disabled females, your students of color, your LGBTQ students? I'm like, because right now that is what we are all experiencing. And since you won't listen to us, I will literally tell everybody, because what happened also, like, this is so much craziness that as writers we could not make this story up, and I as a writer would not do this to a person. But I will be graduating this May with an associate's degree and 131 credits because the school couldn't work with me on some stuff. And
congratulations on graduating at the very least in the midst of all this. I want to say,
yes.
Yeah, thank you for
but
your
we're paying
work.
out of pocket for the tutor because the school wouldn't find me a tutor, and then didn't tell me 2 days before the midterm, oh, by the way, girl, we don't have a tutor for you. And I'm like, that's all right, I'm already paying for one because you guys are that, like, literally incompetent.
Is there like a general reason for this other than the general environment and the way we are kind of devaluing education?
You know, our fabulous Chancellor Andrew Levitt, who is literally one of the most incompetent humans I've ever met. We have people who have made a vote of no confidence in him. We do not want this man at our school, for the record.
Oh.
He put us $19 million in deficit. We lost jobs of amazing people. We lost amazing programs. And if I was able to continue, there would have been a part 2. And I thought 26% was a relatively feel-good piece compared to what was going to happen this year, where I would have crucified anyone who got in my way because of the way we're being treated. The fact that I have to put videos of broken toilets on the university's social media page, like, that's, to me, like an insane crazy woman move. But it's what I have to do to get a toilet fixed in the handicap stall or in the gender neutral bathroom. I literally have to post these insane videos of, hey, look at this broke toilet. Let me put it on with the alumni, tagging every government official in these things. I wish I could tell you guys it was good. I really do, but I am barely passing. It has taken a toll on my mental health. I'm still going to fight. I'm still going to get that damn door fixed if it kills me. My in-laws wrote me a wonderful check for my birthday. I offered it to the school. I walked right into the assistant dean student office. I'm like, here, I will sign this over to you. Fix the door, fix the toilet. And I was told no. My money is not good enough for them.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But
thank you.
And again, thank you for the fight. Hopefully someone else won't have to deal with all this.
Yes, and feel free to call your congressman, or feel free to call the university. Be like, hey, we hear there's a toilet. We hear there's a door that a disabled lady can't get in. Why are we paying taxes if you can't fix a simple door?
Thank you. Call to action is always good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I want to kind of take kind of that tone with Natea. We've already kind of discussed like the image Milwaukee has, and in your opinion, obviously you can't speak for all Milwaukee, you know, but in your opinion, what can Milwaukee itself do? Because obviously we shouldn't have to rely on, you know, artists, just ordinary people to make these steps. The city, these institutions should, you know, taking steps to ensure the safety and at least opportunities for as much of the population as they can. So do you think the situation in Milwaukee is improving, or in your opinion, like what can Milwaukee do?
I think Milwaukee can invest more into Black neighborhoods and like some of the things that the community-based artist is doing, invest in those type of things. I think that investment in Black neighborhoods in Milwaukee have lacked, and with it being one of the most segregated cities in the U.S., like when you cross the line over from a majority Black neighborhood in Milwaukee to a majority white neighborhood, there's a huge difference, and that's because of the lack of investment. And yeah, and I think there could be more money just going towards investing in Black communities, whether that's like the housing or the infrastructure, or even like the art. because art is really prominent in Milwaukee's Black communities, and it's really a huge asset. So I feel like investing in those things would help uplift Milwaukee, but it doesn't seem like Milwaukee wants to invest in Black neighborhoods, especially with like our city budget and the way that things are budgeted. There's just been a lack of investment.
So you don't think things are really getting better either in Milwaukee, in your opinion?
I do not.
Mm.
I personally do work like with organizations in Milwaukee that look at like the city budget and what Milwaukee is investing in, and Milwaukee is not investing in our neighborhoods or even public health. So I don't see it.
And that's also why I started the film festival, draw attention to areas that aren't really getting it too. So I gotta admit, not what I wanted to hear, but thank you for saying the truth.
Thank you.
The truth of what, yeah. Okay, Robin, your short focuses so much on one person and her memory, and I want to take an entirely different tack in my next question. Like your film is very much, well, it's very nostalgic because she is very nostalgic. She remembers the past better than the present. But why did you decide? How did you kind of avoid like that the nostalgia trap? Why did you decide to incorporate the present so much in your story? Because it is pretty much all the time set in the present.
Yeah, well, I think because the way she starts off telling the story to her friends, she's in the present moment. She's with a group of her peers that are the same age as she is, and she's regaling them with this memory of an event that happened with her sister Gloria. And so, that's kind of how we went from like, past, present, but present. And then when her daughter comes to pick her up and brings her home to give her lunch and everything, and that's when because she had been talking about her sister Gloria so much, it triggered like, oh, Gloria, I need to reach out to Gloria. Her birthday's coming up, and that's when her daughter has to break the news to her that Gloria is not around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so so I thought it was just the way Jane wrote it was just really nicely done, to be able to go past and then bring it to the present, but then go back into her past again. So I just loved the way it just was sort of circular all the way around. And I don't know, I think that works, that memory, that kind of works with older people. Those memories that they have from their past are so, like music can evoke a memory really, really clearly. And, storytelling, all of it, it's really interesting.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And Ro, we mentioned that that made me laugh so much that the reason these characters should get married is so that they can learn what they don't want. And yeah, I think as women, we've all felt the pressure of getting not exactly getting married per se, but just getting married in this like very heteronormative traditional way. So I'd like your take on, it's not difficult to see where it comes from, but I'd like your take on where that pressure comes from. Why are these characters so willing to make that kind of commitment with someone that all the signs point to that they're not really right for?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to society, and it comes down to hey, if we've all followed this one path and we all go this path, then nobody can be in the wrong, and there's nothing different, and we don't have to adjust our minds to understand that there are different ways to live. And so when it comes to Claire and Brian, that pressure to get married is not only just coming from each other as far as like age and, oh my God, I've tried dating so many others and this is the best I'm going to find, or what if this isn't the best I'm going to find, but I never find that And a lot of it, I hate using the millennial term, but I'll say it, FOMO, fear of missing out. What if I leave this and then I don't get to come back to it? And all of that wrapped up in a pretty little bow with society and parental and expectations of who you are and supposed to be is exactly what they're experiencing. And I think so many people watch How We Met and go, huh, this is actually me and my relationship. What's going on? Because
a wedding, I think, is the one time, the one day when it is socially permissible for women to say what they want confidently and clearly. When it's your day.
Yes, but I will say there's still that PC hovering of like, oh no, I can't say Auntie blah 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 is gonna go crazy today because Auntie's gonna go crazy. So there's still like, and it's interesting because I studied Alison Armstrong. If you guys don't know who she is, she's a big advocate for women and relationships and how to have very confident hetero relationships. She's now starting to branch out into like LGBTQ and queer relationships, but it goes back to how we approach each other from a man and a female identifying perspective and how we see each other. So it was a lot of taking that and understanding that two people can totally be great humans, but because they don't get the signs of the other person, or they don't understand this is what I really mean, or they feel afraid to say this is what I really mean, that's where it throws everything off. And I hope that How We Met inspires people to be more honest.
Yes, thank you. And yes, speaking of that honesty, that seems to be a common theme through our discussion. I want to ask each of you, starting with you, Melly, in a time when it becomes increasingly unaffordable and even elitist to do what you do, to be an artist of any kind, and especially when I see, like, my main profession is writer, film critic, and so many every day I see so many of my friends have been not only laid off their jobs, but their writings get wiped from the sites they work for. That's happened to me. So many articles from one site. So I want to ask you guys, what keeps you motivating to do what you do? Melly?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a makeup artist, and I got to do that. I talked about it in 26%, and unfortunately MS stopped that. But it always felt like I was never working. And I was kind of making the world a better place in its own little way, like cheering women up, making them feel empowered. And I love doing costume design because it really makes the actor or actress characters feel empowered. But once I started getting the taste of making real change with documentaries, yes, I've lost friends and family over this. Like, people are pissed at me right now because I have said some very colorful things about the chancellor I won't say on air so I can keep my school job. But no, you know that you have the ability to change the world. And to me, it's not so much as an option. It's your duty to do this. It's like, it's noble and it's what's right. And if you have that strength and are that fearless to do it, then it's, damn it, just do it. Like, don't be afraid, because we need to make this change for people. I love going to Milwaukee, and I spent a lot of time in my youth in Milwaukee, and I know the things that you talk about. I see how those affect people. I want this change to be made. I left Wisconsin as a young adult and came back. And I refuse to let the state be in the situation it is. I refuse to let only certain people, as they say in Animal Farm, I feel like all Wisconsinites are equal, but some Wisconsinites are more equal than others. And I'm sick of it. I'm over it. I know, I mean, I have privilege. I'm well aware of it. I'm going to use that privilege to scream at the top of my lungs to get the rights for people who deserve them.
Thank you. Yeah, sadly, the way you guys talk about Wisconsin, I'm from there, and I feel like that's kind of why I had to leave, because there was no framework to do what I wanted to do, really. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm in Chicago right now. So
we've talked about going to Chicago, but there's still so much change to be made here, and
I think it's a bad city to be disabled in. Honestly, I haven't heard good things.
And people in Wisconsin, they still have this Midwest nice thing going on. A lot of women,
but
especially,
it's also a major arts hub. Yeah,
we're raised to be quiet, a little subservient. be a good housewife, be a good mother, not take the whole society and flip it upside down and then flip them a bird while you're at it. Like, that's not how we're raised in the Midwest. So I really kind of have to stay here to kind of F stuff up and help encourage other younger women to do the same. That's why I'm here and not in Chicago having a good time.
Thank you. And Natea, what keeps you motivating to do what you do and keep creating, you know? Discuss the change that needs to happen in Wisconsin and the Midwest in general, which I think we're all invested in, whether we live in the Midwest or not. So what keeps you going in doing this?
Yeah, for me, I think it's the preservation of Black stories and Black history and memories. So I'm a non-traditional filmmaker. I have a bachelor's degree in urban studies and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in urban studies. And a lot of my research has been like history based and doing archival research. And I found a lot of like stories that would have been lost in archives if I wouldn't have found them. And that's kind of what has led me to documentary filmmaking, to preserve like stories that would be lost if people do not document them. And I feel like because these stories aren't being uplifted, these people and these stories, like they will just die off if no one documents them. So I feel like that's what inspires me to keep going, just preservation and history of memories.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Yeah, when I applauded, not applauding that they would be lost, obviously, but that or you are trying to help preserve them. So thank you once again. And Robin, your short, which tells, again, I mentioned that I think a lot of people would prefer that women your character's age and any woman past out of her 20s even, or even earlier, would be invisible. What keeps you going to create the stories you do?
Well, I do have a film background, and I worked in the education field for years. So I was producing educational media for a big school system here in Fairfax County, Virginia. And so I did do a lot of documentary style work for the school system. And the narrative work was sort of like the fun part, the fun outlet, so to speak. And there is an amazing film community of women here in the Washington, D.C. area. And so I have been connected with women in film and video in D.C. for a number of years now. And so what's kept me going is, you know, making that segue from more documentary style to narrative was a little like, oh, I don't know, even though I have, I did film. It was years and years ago when I got my degree, but it was having those women behind me saying, oh yeah, you can do this, we got this. And so that's what keeps me going and keeps me motivated. Is it's just, telling those stories that you don't normally hear. And I think independent work in general, it's so huge. And I really applaud you, Andrea, for a film festival like yours, because we do get to tell these stories that most people don't see or hear or know about. They're not blockbusters in Hollywood, but they're stories, they're human stories. And I think it's so important. So that's what keeps me going.
Thank you. And that's honestly why I included the online element, because there's simply, otherwise I felt like my festival would tell a wide variety enough stories, because we only had so many time slots for the music box for our first year, very understandably so. So I wanted to keep that online element and keep telling more of these stories. So thank you. And Ro, what keeps you motivated to create the stories you do that question some of what people still stubbornly refer to as the building blocks of society, as if marriage, as if civilization would descend into Mad Max without marriage or something.
Right.
Yeah, all our problems are because people are like millennials aren't getting married. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. We're also not working at the same pace, so retirement question mark probably not going to happen. Um, but a lot of what keeps me going, honestly, is the comedy, because everything in my life I've gotten through because I've had a chance to laugh at it, or like I go through something and then at the end my friend will make some joke about, oh yeah, but wasn't that really stupid when you did XYZ? I was like, yeah, you're right. So to me, comedy is where it's at. My idols like Christopher Titus, Robin Williams, all those guys, like it really is. You can't have comedy without tragedy, and you can't have tragedy without comedy. So that really keeps me going and caring to make and create more stuff. And then I also feel I owe it to my younger self. I took so many years to get here. I took so much energy, time, risk. I moved from Denver, not knowing a soul in LA, to 10 years later now being here and being like, I'm making my own stuff. I have a crew behind me that loves and appreciates what I do and how I execute things. And I can't just say, hey, sorry, younger Ro, we're going to go do accounting now because that's what pays the bills. So it's all of that wrapped up.
Thank you very much. And yes, I want to say hello to Roxana, who's joining us kind of late.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I apologize.
Yes, this is the director of Mandy's Voice, that really also very subversive, I want to say. That's about a girl who's on the spectrum, and it focuses very much on her perspective and her mother. So we're kind of about to wrap things up. I want to say, what inspired you to tell this story, and to just capture this girl's perspective? You communicate so differently because she has trouble communicating the way we recognize, in a way that we recognize is communication. If you can't communicate the way in a way we kind of perceive that way, you are essentially voiceless, which is the main point of your film. So how did you manage to capture her perspective so well?
Well, first off, I really want to pay homage to all the other filmmakers here, and I apologize for being late.
No,
thank you for allowing me to join you all. Mandy's Voice, to kind of cut to it, the script, I have a strong, the script really resonated with me as an only child of a single mom, 2 kids and 1 child who had serious health issues when she was young, and pretty much dedicated my life to her healing and wasn't sure how that was going to all kind of come together. And I worked with a dance company. I was a resident choreographer and a dancer many years ago, and we worked with dancers and with wheelchairs and dancers who identified as disabled and able-bodied dancers. And so I've been used to I'm used to creating this way for many, many years. And the script, when it was written, although I loved it a lot and we were casting in sort of this mainstream way because we started in 2019, it didn't sit well with me. And I just pretty much begged my team to give the opportunity for us to work with somebody who had real life experience with this and who could inform ideas and bring a truth and a real genuine experience to it to deepen the conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and I want to ask kind of my last 2 questions, since we have to kind of wrap it up here. And I just was for a minute. So, Melly, what do you enjoy most about what you do, and what's coming up next for you? What project are you working on?
I just forgot the name of it because I just had an MS brain fart, so I'm going to grab it because I put it on my phone for that reason. Multiple sclerosis is a fun thing.
A bit there too, so maybe it's. Yeah,
Christina Applegate is doing a podcast about her battle, and right now, and she makes jokes about it, and because that's what you have to do. This is hilarious because I'm like, I'm working on this new TV show, and it is. Well, what I'm really happy is we've gotten some kick plates put on doors, so at least we're calling them Melly doors, and they're actually a huge because you have to shuffle around them. So they'll never forget me. Even when I leave, I will always be a pain in the ass to the university. So I take very big pride in that, getting these doors fixed and being a pain in the ass. And I'm going to be working on Instability, the TV show. It is a very LGBTQ friendly story. It talks about, like, it's based in 2013, and it's kind of a things can go this way or that way, almost like Pushing Doors. Was that the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow in it?
Sliding Doors, I believe.
Sliding Doors, thank you. And it's kind of like that. Our character's life might go this. Oh, that's weird. Okay, sorry about this. Our character's life could go this way or that way, depending on the thing. And I'm going to be doing costume, working on some production, and just still fighting for disability rights, because it's super important to me.
Atea, what do you love most about what you do, and any upcoming projects?
Yeah, I just enjoy being creative. I think filmmaking is an art, and I just love being in a creative space. So that's what I love most about what I do. And I actually just started filming another film yesterday in Milwaukee. So this film is another documentary, and it's about the lead crisis in Milwaukee, basically like lead poisoning in water, and how in a lot of communities, especially Black communities in Milwaukee, there's more exposure to lead in those areas. So I interviewed some people yesterday, and then I have a few more people to interview, and then I'll be done interviewing and then going into post-production with that.
Well, sorry to hear that, but thank you for shining a light on a problem that obviously needs to be resolved. Thank you. And Robin, what do you love most about what you do, and what is up next for you?
What I love most is the creative collaborative process. Taking words on a page and then seeing how that comes to life in a very different way. Like, what starts off as the script doesn't necessarily translate into the film, because you have so many other people contributing. You've got your crew and you've got your actors, and I just love that whole collaborative process. I am in the midst of producing a feature film. This will be the second one that I've worked on, and I'm really excited about it. It's a comedy. It's called Stregonona, A Sicilian Witch Tale, and it's about an older grandma who is a seer. She's a psychic, and her psychic powers are starting to get her wires are getting crossed. So it's really a funny script, and I think, and it's about family, and it's about Sicilian families, and which, that's part of my heritage. So I loved everything about it. And again, my friend Jane, who wrote Gloria's Birthday, has written this one. So we're going to be filming that actually in Chicago, because our director lives there. So we'll be doing that in October.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Say hi when you come through.
Okay.
And Ro, what do you love most about what you do, and what's your upcoming projects?
I have to agree with Robin. It's the collaboration, because in comedy, nothing's going to fly on that screen if you don't have the actor, the director, the writer, even sometimes my gaffers, at least, because we all have great ideas and we all see things differently. And in comedy, you have to rely on how the audience is going to interpret what's happening. And if they aren't going to laugh at it, nobody will. So it's always a fun process on my comedy sets. But what we just finished up on, continuing with the relationship idea, is a drama piece about a guy who comes back to his high school sweetheart and tries to woo her back. And they're in two different places in life now. She's moved on, she's matured. He's still back in that high school mentality of like, yeah, this could still work. This is going to be great. And it just unfolds in the most unfortunate ways, as things should, because she's built the confidence in herself to say no and to understand she's worth more. So we just finished that, and I'm hoping to have that ready to show here in the second half of 2024.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Roxana, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. So glad to talk about your short, even if it's for a more limited time. What did you love most about what you do, and upcoming projects, please?
I love growing. I love being challenged, and and growing the most. I mean, filmmaking is a medium that just requires all of what we have, our heart, our mind, our conscience. And I really like creating conversations with others that challenge the way status quo thinks. So I will continue that plight in any medium possible. And I'm thankful to be able to work with some incredibly talented and curious people. I really enjoy that. I am shooting a film in California next month, a short film that I wrote that's about mental health and children. And yeah, I'll leave it there. And then I am attached to a feature film that is about bullying middle schoolers, and a TV show that is a TV series that has that is about an autistic teen and how she sees the world.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for your films. Thank you for being a part of the festival, your patience working with me on this. And it's been lovely. Thank you, ladies. And I think that's where we're gonna end things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting all you